And we'll talk about our hair loss over having these businesses.
Yeah, but I think a bald man is a mark of wisdom and beauty.
Whew, I got some beauty rocking today then. That's for sure. Well, welcome back to another episode of Small Town Grit. We have Joe Stewart with us today, franchisee owner of EOS Systems, and he implements a lot of business strategies for small businesses trying to get going. So welcome, Joe, to the show.
Thanks, Corey. Happy to be here.
You say that now, but we'll see. So a lot of people don't know that you and I probably have a long history.
Yeah.
Almost, I don't say 20 years, but at least 15.
Yeah, it's probably 15 exactly.
I think it's pretty close to that.
Yeah, this year I think it's 15. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in 2009, May of 2009, actually. And literally, that was a Saturday. And on Monday, I started planting flowers with you guys at the Bavarian Inn.
You did flowers at Bavarian Inn?
That was my first job.
Yeah.
I was just like helping out. And I showed up and we planted like 3,000 flowers or something.
No,
like,
literally. That's going to happen again. You should come back for...
I would totally do that. Yeah.
I got in the paper the first year we took over that contract. I got in the paper.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was just like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
It was for my bad side. They didn't give me for my good side.
Oh, well, you can get another crack at it.
Yeah, I think so. I think I got to go back this year and I got to get a hold of the paper and be like, hey, we got this.
Yeah. That was just supposed to be like a week's worth of making some money, and it turned into that whole summer of, like, I remember driving down to Grand Blanc, I think it was Grand Blanc, Texas.
Yeah, we called it Texas.
Sitting in the middle of that truck between you and I think Steve, maybe.
Yeah, Big Steve, two big old dudes.
Yeah, just three dudes like in this truck, and I was weed whipping most of the summer, but I got promoted like towards the end of the summer, and I was actually driving the mower, and it was good. It was good.
Well, we didn't have a lot of mowers, but somehow we got a contract to mow 20 acres down in Grand Blanc. We call it Texas. That's funny. My wife had to come mow that property one time.
Yeah.
She mowed it. She hit a tree. She cried.
Yeah.
And that was the last time she mowed for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good times. Good times.
Yeah. So what happened from the time that you worked for us that summer when you graduated, and then did you work for your family practice, your family business right away, or did you kind of do some other things for a while?
No, we were kind of in like not failure to launch mode. We were really ready to go, but we got to the finish line and the state had changed some guidelines around contracts, and it kind of put us on hold for about a year. So that's how I ended up planting flowers and hucking stone and and weed whipping for a little while. And then I got a job at Bay Aranac Behavioral Health, actually, in emergency services for about a year. And then we officially launched my parents' place. So I was there for the first 5 years. So I built all the ops, ran all the ops, and then went out on my own. So I left there. My wife and I opened a CrossFit gym, actually, in Caro. And everybody said that was a really bad idea. And turned out it was not a really bad idea. Mm-hmm. It was one of the best times I've ever had in life. And really, I think, I won't go too deep on this, but like the takeaways for me out of that first venture, it was the first thing I did solely on my own. My wife and I was like just our skin in the game. I just really kind of uncovered my passion for business. I didn't realize I liked it. I like all the inputs, the outputs. I like that it's creative, but it's also just very concrete in a lot of ways. There's some risk involved, and the way that you can kind of assess and manage risk and manage creativity, and if you know kind of the fundamentals, it's just it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
and I remember your journey in that point, and I think it was a little bit more than just a business because you were coaching at the time too. Mm-hmm. So you got a little bit rewarding of some results.
Well, that was the other thing. So I figured out that I loved business, but I figured out that I love people too. And which is funny because I would have told you at the time that I did not love people. But something about and some of this is retrospect. I don't think I was fully aware in the moment, but looking back, it's like those people were doing all the work, but I was just there with them, kind of guiding the path and, going through the ups and the downs. And then when you put enough consistent work together for a period of time, you can accomplish some pretty amazing things. And just average people doing kind of above average stuff. And that was just fun. I mean, it was really cool to see people like just achieve the next level. That could be like we won some state championships with some kids. That was fun. It could be, I remember this, I'm going to call her a soccer mom. And she's probably going to, if she sees this, she'll know who she is. Like she couldn't even do a squat with her body weight when we met in like 2013. And in 2018, she was doing like a back squat with like 280 pounds. Like cheeks to
amazing.
Seats, man.
Yeah.
And but no ego, just like 5 years of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just coming in and kind of just doing the stuff, and then going home. And I don't know, that stuff was just really neat to me. Kind of uncovered this real passion I do have for coaching.
So how'd you get to your next entrepreneur business? Because you were running 2 businesses at one time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'd say running is a loose term, but yeah, we were running 2 businesses at the same time. It's pretty wild there for a while. Well, you and I have a lot in common, so here's how that went. A friend said, we should start a t-shirt company with your brand. And I said, that's a really bad idea. I don't want to do that. And so we did that. And that's literally...
Why? Just laughing, because I called you, didn't I, Joe? Like 4 months ago, and I said, I'm going to buy a t-shirt press.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You texted me. You said, am I crazy to think that I could? I said, I called you. I said, yes, you're crazy. Like,
yeah,
we need to talk about this.
Thank you.
It was an intervention.
Yeah. But I think you told me the best way. It's like that's our entrepreneur's mind state. We have a problem and we try and solve it.
Yeah.
We don't always think about the whole aspect of it. We just think about solving that problem. To me, it was like, well, I got 30 guys and they all need t-shirts and sweatshirts. Instantly, I need a t-shirt press.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Right.
Well, that's pretty much how our next business developed and evolved. And it's we started as a retail company, just doing online sales, and we'd sell shirts at fitness events that we were at. People started asking us to print their shirts, and being an opportunist, I'm like, yeah, of course we'll do that. So I had a vendor at the time, and we just it didn't work out. Like we didn't have a good system for processing that kind of work. So I kind of wanted to put the end to that t-shirt company, and my wife was the one who really brought it out of the ashes. And 2014 maybe, it was before our son was born, she said, I don't want to go back to work full time after our son's born. I want to be a mom. And so I'll do the t-shirt stuff. And I said, well, then we got to buy a press. We got to figure out how to do this. So that kind of kicked off that adventure. And we did. We bought a press. We put it in the garage. She built a really good little business in that garage. And then a couple of years later, it got to be just too much for one person in that space. And that's when we made the decision to, she actually called me and said, hey, like she called me like we don't live together. But she did call me and, on the phone and said, you got to help me out, or we have to do something else. And after some conversation, we just thought, there's some real opportunity here for us to take this business to the next level and maybe go beyond some of the ceilings we were hitting with that gym at the time. So we were doing both. And I mean, there's a lot of stories I could go down during that, but the high level is we did both for a little while, and then ultimately made the decision to close that gym in December of 2018. We moved our printing shop into that space in 2019, and it just grew really, really fast and really well. We ended up selling that company in June of 2021. So that was my first experience with EOS, actually. So we read the book Traction and started to run our printing company on EOS in, I don't know, 2017-ish, something like that. And then 2019, that business was just kind of running. It was doing really well. I was able to step away and go back and help my parents at their company for a few years. They had grown and just kind of were having some of the issues that come with growth. And I came in and I was there for 3 years and just kind of helped them grow, straighten some things out, but ultimately just retire. And May of 22, they were able to walk away and retire from their business.
Yeah. So the EOS, did you kind of were introduced with the t-shirt business with Mission One, and then did you take those principles to the family business too?
Yeah. I mean, when I walked in 2019, I had a completely different mentality than 10 years prior. Even a couple of years prior to that, just running our printing company. It's like every one of those experiences kind of built on the next one. And we did some really amazing things in 3 years with their company. That's where I hired an EOS implementer, though. So that's what I do now. I didn't even know they were a thing. I just knew I had 5 people that I needed to convince that EOS was like the way to go. Mm-hmm. So I found this guy on the internet to come in and talk to us. And as he was talking to us, I'm like, man, like he really knows this stuff. So we ended up hiring him. And after our first full day session together, he pulled me aside and he just said, whenever you're done here, and I know you'll be done here, I can just tell you're that kind of guy. Like you'll do something else. He goes, you should do this. And I just kind of laughed. I mean, the guy's in his 60s. He's retired from corporate America. And so I said, okay, Pete, maybe in 20 years. And that just came a lot sooner. The opportunity presented itself and a couple of years ago, and the universe said, hey, it's time to do this.
Well, tell us a little about EOS. I mean, I didn't know anything about it till we talked. We talked quite a bit, and I told you about my struggles, and you told me about your struggles, and then we hug once in a while, and it's all better, but it really wasn't. It just got us through that day. Yeah. But EOS is a great thing. I mean, people don't know about it. It's kind of a game changer if you're kind of hitting those ceilings or those roadblocks. Sometimes, especially the owners, you just can't get our own way. And I'm guilty of it every day.
Mm-hmm. You are. Yeah. I am too, though. Just so you know.
Oh, okay.
I still am. So it depends on the kind of person you are. I think you're a visionary. I'm a visionary. That's just how we're wired. It's a blessing and a curse. So, but the more you know, I hired an integrator. It's my wife, by the way. Just this morning, we did our level 10 meeting, and I'm going on and on about all my things, and she's saying, okay, here's the reality. And I'm at the point though now where I just said, okay, what I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. What my vision is. What the outcome is that I'm looking for. Just tell me what to do, and she just executes, So EOS, though, back to your question, is so it stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And from a high level, it's really just a way for business owners and their leadership teams to get on the same page, to achieve vision, traction, and healthy. So what I mean by that is vision from a standpoint of the owners and the leaders just getting into alignment. Like, where are we going and how are we going to get there? Sounds so simple, but just having 100% clarity on this is the goal and this is our plan to get to that goal. Everybody's on the same page. Traction is about giving them the tools to have the discipline and the accountability to actually execute on that vision. And healthy is just, it's like being a great team, right? A group of cohesive, open and honest individuals that love being together, and you're just all rowing the boat in the same direction. Because as leaders and teams, we're just not always those people. So as goes leadership, will go the rest of the company. And eventually you're going to get to the point where you have 10 employees or 200. Everybody in the company is aligned with your vision, right? They're working in the day-to-day with discipline and accountability to execute on that vision. And you're all just advancing forward as this like healthy, cohesive, functional team. So that's the high level. to break it down a little bit, there's 6 key components of your business. So entrepreneurs, we have 136 things going through our head all the time. To be honest, we kind of like it that way. But to the extent that we can strengthen those 6 key components of our businesses, those 136 issues, they just tend to fall into place because a lot of times they are symptoms of a true root cause. So within those 6 key components, we've got some foundational tools. But really, we can say, like, anywhere you're experiencing weakness in your company or frustration, like, you can drive it back to weakness in one of those components. And there's some really simple, proven tools to help you overcome those things.
I think it's like, for those who don't know, we've done a session with you, and we haven't come back and circled back around because I feel like we were a couple.
You guys want to talk about that?
I do.
Should we get our calendars out?
Because I think
Just film it. Let's just film it.
for one, I think that sometimes it's hard for owners to give the vision to somebody else because it always sits in your head. It's like, and it's hard to come across and tell everybody, not stranger, but somebody else, the passion and vision that you have. So sometimes it doesn't get portrayed right, or maybe you don't even know the vision. And I think that might be some case.
Or maybe like you are afraid to commit or like box yourself in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good way to say it. I don't want to give myself parameters.
Yeah.
I don't. So, I mean,
yeah, you and the rest of the visionaries in the world.
But we have to, unfortunately, for the staff, for everybody's on the same page. Otherwise, what are they working towards, or what's the goal of the company? So yeah, we struggled on that, and then we had a lot of situations we didn't have the right people in the right seat. I think that's what you really talked about at the meeting. I think at our meeting we had last year, I think only one person is in the original seats that we had. Everybody else, they weren't in the right seat. Like we just had to do a clean out, and and you hate losing good people, but if there's not in the right seat to do the right job, then it can't all work out. So I've had to let go a lot, and that's hard because I mean, it'll be almost 20 years next year that I've been involved in what we're doing, and they still don't do it the way I want to do it, but at some point I got to compromise, and is 80 or 90% good?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I've experienced that same exact process, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but for me it was it uncovered a lot of things internally, and it wasn't just you're not doing it how I want it. Like in those situations, it was about using my team to help me discover how we really wanted it. What is our standard here for service? So it's not just my standard for service. It's getting the buy-in from all the right people around me and bringing them into that to help us define what our standard of service is. And then once we were able to clarify those things and start to have really great process that we had documented, we'd simplified these things, and we were training people and providing management and like great management, like great leadership. It was to the point where I would come in and it's like things are just happening, and they're all happening like pretty good. And now I'm starting to question, like, where's my value at? You know what I mean?
And I'm going through that right now. And I talked to Brian. I'm like, what am I supposed to do every day? What's my best value for this company right now? Instead of doing 100 things, 50%, like what are 10 things I can do 100% to be the best value for the company? And I think that for me, I'm kind of lost right now. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
So it sounds like you're kind of searching for that, like
a little bit.
What is my place?
Yeah. I don't know somebody. I'm not asking for somebody to tell me what to do, but it's like, my employees one year bought me a coffee mug and it says chaos coordinator. And I'm like, so true. And some days I thrive on it. Like I have to have chaos, but it's like some days I'm like totally lost when there's not chaos because everything's everybody's accountable for whatever role they're doing, and it's just a well-oiled machine. So, which is amazing. But then those are the days I'm lost.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it's any. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Consolation, maybe. That just makes you normal, right? Like as a business owner.
Normal? I don't have a coffee mug that says normal.
Yeah. Well, you probably would lose it, but no, that just makes you normal. I have a client right now who's going through this same thing, and we were sitting in a session in February, I think, and he said that he kind of got emotional. He just said, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, they got probably about 100 people in their company, and he's just been very coachable, and they're leaning in. They've got a great little team set up there, and he's pulled out from having his hands in everything. And in 3 months, like, everyone is happier. Things are running smoother. Just in 3 months, they haven't even done that much yet. But now he's going, where's my value? Like, I don't know what to do, and I can't answer that question. So what I can say is you have created the space and the opening for whatever's next. And you've created the space to have clarity and have confidence and have energy. And for the companies that truly are good companies that want to be great, that have great owners that love their people and love their customers, the only thing that could come out of having clarity and space and confidence and energy is going to be benefiting all those employees and all those customers. Because he's going to now be able to, I don't know what it's going to be, but he's going to be able to elevate to whatever's next in life for him. And he's going to be a better leader. He's going to be a better owner. And it's going to all pour back tenfold into those people. And it's going to be weird, man. I'm telling you, I've experienced this. It's super. My company that I sold is still out there. Like, it's just running around in the wild. Yeah. Someone messaged me on Facebook Messenger a couple months ago. They said, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, check this out. Your company's doing my T-shirts. And same form that we created, years ago. Our logo's still there. And I said, hey, I actually sold that company 2 years ago. But it's good to see that, like, they're just out there still doing stuff, and they're obviously doing great work still. Like, our brand is still in existence, and the cars are still in the parking lot. And so I think for visionaries specifically, they are like these unique animals. Like, when we do accountability chart exercises that you sat through, most of, like, sales functions, there's a lot of overlap across companies, what your sales function should be responsible for, right? Your ops, okay, so sometimes it's tailored. You do lawn and snow and building. So there's some things, maybe it's engineering or IT. Those are a little bit unique, but it's ops, marketing, finance. Like, we kind of know what those roles are going to cover, and they're just going to be kind of custom tailored for whatever the specificity of the business is. But then there's an integrator, and the integrator is like running the day-to-day. It's it's kind of the same for most businesses. Like, they're kind of keeping the trains on time. They're making sure the leadership team is kind of harmoniously, running their functions, and they're removing barriers and making sure projects are on track. And it's kind of not completely universal, but pretty close. Visionaries, when we get to the visionary seat, if there's a visionary, people go, what does the visionary do? I say, I don't know. What does your company need from your visionary? Yeah. Because they're all different. Like, their superpowers are all just different. They're the things that they need, and their energy comes from different places. So what does that mean for you? I have no idea, but I would bet if you just lean into it, trust the process, whatever the next right thing is going to come to you, and you've created the space for that to show up.
No, probably the last 2 years I really valued putting some resource dollars back into education or things like coaching and things of that sort. I would have never thought of that, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Is there a certain point that you think a small business should look at, like EOS, or is there a dollar amount? Is it just a systems thing? Or like, what point, like, if I called, hey, Joe, I'm having some issues with our business and this is what I got going on. Yeah. Is it a case by case situation? Is it?
Look at, All right. I'm a biased opinion. So just so everybody is real clear of that, but I've done this in my printing company. I hired an implementer at my parents' company. I worked with them. I do this every day with companies. I've been involved with EOS in some way for 7 years. I have not seen a catastrophic failure. Most of the time I see like joy and success. And so my answer to that would be the principles in EOS they're not like magic pill, guru, theory. Like they're all proven, road tested principles.
Oh yeah, they're straightforward.
Right? So it doesn't matter what size company you have. Like these business principles have been around for hundreds of years, so they can help you. Now there are some ways, like how can I actually take that in and use it as a business owner? I started using EOS with 3 people in my company, and it was there were some challenges, right? Because typically I'm working with companies in the 10 to 250 employee range. That's really who it was created for. Those privately held entrepreneurial companies, 10 to 250 employees, typically 2 million in revenue or more. Can it work with companies that are smaller? Yes. Can it work with companies that are bigger? Yes. What I see though is when you're at that 10 employee or more mark, you have human energy around you. And really EOS is kind of about, it's a system to help harness all that human energy, and get it all flowing in the same direction. So if there's only 2 of you, well, there's just a lot less human energy.
Yeah.
And you're probably doing a lot of things that, you are the sales leader, but you're also the sales associate, right? You are the ops leader, but you're also the technician. You're also in shipping and receiving and billing and
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you still don't have procedure. That you should have procedures or systems for those.
yeah.
And that's where you kind of came in. And do you remember the? I don't know if you were doing any coaching yet, and you came to my house. Remember, I called you, and I was just like,
Yeah, I will never forget that day. That was yeah.
So I called Joe. I'm like, hey, I see you're coaching. I said, I don't know what you're coaching or anything, but I'm telling you, I'm a train wreck. He's like, all right. So we set up a meeting. You came to my house, and how many times did I leave that room? Probably
like 74. Like we'd get a half a sentence. You'd be like, hang on, I gotta take this.
Yeah.
Hang on, some guys are dropping some things off. Hang on, no, it's in the basement. Go in the basement. Oh, hang on, my nephew or my grandson's here.
yeah, it was crazy. And then you gave the whole spiel, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell my wife, and she's in the other room over here in the whole thing, and she's like, okay. And she's like, you're not gonna do anything that you're gonna pay him whatever he's gonna ask, and you're not gonna do one thing that he tells you to do. You know that, right? I said, what do you mean? She's like, you're not gonna do it. I know you. I've been 20 years I've been with you. You're not gonna do it. So, and it wasn't until we brought Brian on, which is him and my wife are kind of cut the same. Mm-hmm. It's just I can tell him things that I can't tell my wife probably. Yeah. So
edit that, Jess.
Yeah,
I want that edit. Cut that.
No, I tell her everything.
Sure.
I tell her everything. It just might not be in a timely manner. She might hear it from somebody else first, but she'll always hear about it. And Brian came on, and he's like, we need to do something because we have a good thing here. We need direction. We need to, and I think that I don't know how many people have ever done like what we did, and it's probably not recommended. But I think, and the problem we have 2 businesses that we run together, kind of, and I think that was a little bit. You're probably like, man, we need like 2 different sessions here because we had 2 different things going on, and
there were some decisions that needed to be made. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that was our problem. We needed to make some decisions, and I knew that we didn't have very many people in the right seat. We didn't even have the right people, and we were trying to just put people there just to say we had somebody to say, "You're the sales." I don't know if you're sales, but today you're sales, and we weren't there yet. So, and it's been a long road this last year, and we've implemented a lot of things that you've just in our initial session, which has been huge. And like I told you before in our last conversation, we're almost ready to come back, and I think we're at the point that everything we do, we can implement 100%.
Yeah.
Unlike that first meeting at my house, and my wife's like, you're going to do 0 of that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, if you look at that point in time, the day I came to your house, like I've lived in that moment.
Yeah, you related it 100%.
Yeah, for like years of my life, I spent in that like frenetic, like I used to explain it this way. People would say, well, you own a business. What do you do? I'd say, well, I keep a fire extinguisher next to my bed. And when I get up in the morning, I just get on the fire extinguisher. And it takes me all over the place. And then typically, sometime later after dark, it lands back by my bed and I go to sleep. And just whatever happens in between, I just try to do the best I can. And it's not abnormal for business owners, right? Like entrepreneurial people, I love these people because you're like, hey, I can solve a problem. I can do this service better for people. I can make this product better. And you've got the work ethic and you've got the integrity and you got the brass, to like just go out there and take a swing at it. But rarely do we have any idea how to run a business. And you don't know until you hit that point where you've created enough success and exhausted all of your capacity. And now you're just hanging on, And then it's a very real moment though in a business owner's life to say, is this how it's going to be or not? Because in the way I see it, like that's not sustainable. I'm a grinder. I mean, you know this. I love just trudging through the mud, doing things that people won't do. Like that's my thing. But it has an expiration date. So like that moment in your kitchen or your little nook there was a beautiful moment because it was just you being you at a moment. And it's like you'd created so much success around you just because you were willing to take a shot. And you had some great people around you and you believed in your people and they believed in you, right? So, and then you started taking the steps. And when we paused, first of all, sometimes people pause. You're not the only one. You're the only one that's ever paused me. But I'm not salty about that.
Yeah.
We're still bros.
Yeah. I mean, we still talk.
But there was some other big life things that were going on for you. It was like Brian was brand new. Your father had just like passed away. There's big stuff. You guys are getting ready for the season. Like there's a lot of things going on. And then in that session, I remember when you called me, you said, we kind of like exposed a lot of things here that like we really got to think about and work on. And then you've been going forward and working on them. So.
Yeah. And what I liked about it is like you're open-minded about it. You're like, hey, I'm here if you have a question, you want to talk, when you're ready to come back. And that's one thing I liked about you. It's like you weren't like, oh no, this is the program and I'm supposed to come back in 30 days and we're going to have another session. It wasn't like that. And I think you were looking for the best of our business and what we had going on here. And every business is different. And we got exposed pretty bad. Yeah. So, which is fine. We needed it.
Yeah. Well, you got to know where your blind spots are.
Yeah. Or all of them.
Yeah. Or you can't fix them, but
yeah.
I am so blessed. I just turned 42 like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
I thought are you a March baby?
Yeah.
I thought you were.
March 2nd.
Yeah.
So I don't know what today is. Michelle will remind me at some point.
Today's the 12th. Tomorrow's my birthday, so that's why I thought. Yeah. I thought that's why.
That's why you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I thought it was because we're bald-headed.
Yeah. Oh, it's that too. Yeah. There's wisdom. There's beauty. There's just all this togetherness putting out into the world. All right, I'm getting a little too woo-woo here, but I totally lost my train of thought.
Yeah, that's all right. We're having a bromance.
I thought I had I'm so fortunate that I'm at the point in life where like I gotta work, right? I mean, I can't just not work. But I also like don't need the next piece of business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm in a spot where I can work with the right people. If it's not a good I just sent a referral out to somebody. Company said, hey, we did our first initial kind of presentation and like talked to each other and showed them EOS and it just wasn't a good fit. And I said, no problem. Like, I don't think I'm a good fit for you either. Like, let me help you find a good fit. And I talked to 3 or 4 local implementers in that area. I was down in Florida in one of the areas that I cover and found the right guy, got him hooked up. They're starting in April together. They're both super happy. My real purpose lies in the fact that I was that person in, the just strung out, and then I was able to come through it and see the other side of it. And that's all I want for other people. And everybody is in a different place. So there's no way that I can work with you. If I need you here and you're here, I can't just snap my fingers and you be there. I got to work with wherever you're at, wherever the team's at, and just kind of go from there. So my job isn't to be a burden, right? So if it's creating more stress, it's counterproductive. So call me when it's not going to create stress.
Yeah, that's hard. I've had a few situations that even friends, I'm like, it's just not best we work together on this job, and it's nothing personal, and sometimes it just works out that way in life, right? You just can't take it personally. And if you just want the best for that client or that friend or whatever it is, you just got to be honest about it and find the best situation for them.
Yeah.
Like I had a client call the other day and she's like, well, I already got 2 other local quotes from local contractors. I'm like, that's fine. I know them. They're reputable. Go ahead and use them. And she was mad. And I was just like, no, it's all right. And she's like, no, I really want a quote from you though. But but I was like, okay about it. I'm like, sometimes I'm not the best fit for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's an abundance-minded mentality as well. Like there's enough work for everybody. You know what I mean? Like if we just put good out into the world, like good's going to come back to us as well.
100%.
We don't need to fight and claw and scrap. And I think that's just a lot of old school kind of thinking, where like, look, you're a contractor. I don't think you hold any trade secrets. You know what I mean?
No.
Like and I'm not trying to disrespect you and dumb this down, but like you're putting nails and stuff. You're cutting things on angles, like you're putting up decorative pieces and finish and trim. Like I think like 50 years ago, the business communities were maybe just a little more closed off. Like they felt like maybe they had a trade secret. Or like they put all this work into it. They're not going to share it with you. You're going to take all the business. And I don't know. There's probably people like that still.
I don't know. I think it's technology has really changed that too.
It's opened it up.
I mean, not anybody, but YouTube has solved a lot of problems in a lot of people's lives and probably saved a lot of marriages. So let's just be honest.
Yeah. I have a handyman who saved mine. He's like my husband. It works so good.
Yeah, give him your honey-do list and say, here you go.
Yeah. It's good.
Bottle of scotch and everything's good.
Yes, absolutely. I had to put my pride and my ego away.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I mean, even for myself, I'm so busy, and sometimes I have to have my guys come help just to get caught back up at the home because, business owners, you get busy, and something's got to give. So unfortunately, it's at my house.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm looking forward to with everything that we're doing, and then implementing EOS again is getting to the point that I can do some of my own projects and hobbies and have a Saturday that I can work on something and not have to go to the office or meet a client and get to that point. So which we're getting a little closer.
Yeah, and it sounds like finding the right pulse that you can still keep the circles connected to, not step out completely. I know the people are so important to you. It's not like you want to be some absent guy, but to find whatever that right balance is, to find what that right fit is, and
So we'll put all your contact on our page, and then they can just reach out to you on their contact, or is there a tell us the process if somebody wants to reach out to you.
Yeah, so the easiest way is like I'm on LinkedIn, like that's where I'm most active with my business. If you want to hear about my life and all my snarky remarks about life, then Facebook is the place to be.
Yeah. Nice.
And that probably makes me sound old because I don't Snapchat or have the gram.
Twitter tweet. I really don't know any of that either, so I'm way out of the loop.
And then eosworldwide.com /Joe-Stewart. That's my business webpage. So people can go there and learn about what I do. Joe.Stewart at eosworldwide.com will go right to my email. So that's a way to get, if you want information or just want to talk about something or have questions, you can get me right through that way.
Excellent. I appreciate you, Joe. Always have for 15 years.
Yeah, man. This is fun.
Yeah.
This went way better.
Yeah.
Like I thought, we could we have potential to kind of get off into some, some roads.
Yeah.
Some tangential roads that are fun. But this was you did a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.